Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Last Mile. This is episode 6. It was supposed to be last week. Last week I was getting back from the Willie Nelson event, and my son actually, who did not go, he was here with his grandmother. He was very sick when I came back, so he actually had a down and out week, like sicker longer than normal, for him. And then I came back with, I don't know, some kind of stomach bug that it's just been so mild, but even up until like a couple days ago, I still had it. So whatever. It's been going away. Nothing compared to what Max had. But I had to cancel last week. We were both down and out that day. I got back on Monday morning after being awake since Friday night with no sleep. And yeah, I was I went and got him, came back here, um, passed out, so tired, and then woke up with a dry throat, upset stomach. So I had to cancel, but you know me, that normally is a no-go thing. But here we are, and we're back, and yeah, this will be weekly again. So you guys, this is the goal of the last mile. Outside of the main goal is to show you guys different apps, teach you guys what I'm doing to earn, tell you how it goes in my market and on the different apps. A lot of this will be based around Curry, given. But that said, there's a lot of other apps too. And in fact, today we're going to go through the ones I am currently on. And then in a little bit here, we're going to have Brian Kern join us. And Brian is he has been on Curry for a little bit too. He is in the Pittsburgh market, and that is another market that, like Denver, is like fire. Great offers. We'll go through some of those. Hey, Kevin T, how are you? Hey, Neela, how are you? Uh, Last I knew, Neela was getting um, either a Sprinter or a box truck. Um, but one second. Okay, so yeah, I don't remember if it was, I don't remember which it was. If you want to put it in there, because I know that you are really into this last mile stuff as well, and you've been doing some of the other apps. So real quickly, here's what I'm going to go through today. I just, before I bring Brian out here, I want to talk about the apps that I am on now. There's a ton more. There's a ton more, you guys. Like I was saying this the other day. There's like 25 last mile, and when I say last mile, maybe I need to find a way to better just have an understanding so I don't have to every time we do this explain it. But I'm not referring to delivery apps and such. And I'm not also dissing on them. This is just something different. I'm talking about last mile courier apps. And some of them are specialty niches and whatnot. But I know a lot of people think of food delivery and even grocery store shopping and stuff as last mile. And I guess technically it is. I just like the words contact and last mile services. Those always have gone with these type apps. But I want you guys to know like what I'm on. And I'm going to start off by telling you guys what I'm on right now that I have worked this calendar year. Okay. Because there's a few that we'll go through after because I'm trying to add one a week. Um, so I'm on Curry, and these are all ones that I've been on, obviously, Curry for almost 2 years. Um, and all the ones I'm gonna name first, there's 5 of them. Those 5 I have worked this year. So Curry, Roadie, Viho, Freight, and Dispatch. Um, I am active on all those, and I've had at least one or more um, deliveries on all of those. Now, let me name a couple other ones here. On drop off, I'm on a waiting list and have been for a couple months. On Amazon Flex, I used to have my old phone on an account and nothing ever happened to my Flex account, but they wouldn't ever let me reactivate that. So I used my other phone and thought that was still going to get caught. It didn't. And I'm reactivated. However, I'm on a wait list, but I've done Flex before. So it's not that one I can speak on from past. I just can't speak on it presently. And then Bungie, I got activated about 3 weeks ago. I have not seen one Bungie, I mean, I've seen a handful, but I have not seen one Bungie order I would take. And it's not like they're kind of bad or whatever. They're just, and maybe it's again market to market. Some people do well with Bungie, but in my market, there's not a lot of call for at least pickup truck, SUV, smaller than that type. Maybe they're better with the bigger stuff, but I've heard some odd stories about Bungie anyway. But hoping to get one of those. And then point pickup would be the last one that I would call on my list. But I had to look, and the last time I did a point pickup was on in March of 2022. So 14 months ago. And that even was when point pickup was slowing down. But so I am on these. I will tell you guys out of the ones I just named, um, point pickup, obviously, I kind of stopped doing it, but I am still active. I've got it back on my phone now. Drop off waiting to get off that wait list. Freight and dispatch, kind of the same here. Um, and then there's a new one called Axle Hire that's the one I'm hoping to onboard to next. It's kind of like what a VHO was, where you take routes and the routes can vary in size, and then you and it pays pretty decent. Because one thing that's happened with VHO is that VHO's gone way downhill, at least in my market, to the point where it's hard to even grab the batches, and now the batches don't pay like they did, and they've expanded the boundaries. So like one thing that I liked about VHO when it first came around Denver was VHO would be like a 5 mile radius. You'd have 20 deliveries in 5 miles. So it's like you could just kind of go park your car if it was downtown. I mean, clearly 5 miles is too much downtown, but the downtown ones might be within 1 mile. So it was really kind of cool. There wasn't like tons of driving into rural America and like with Amazon Flex. But freight and dispatch both have good offers. I've talked to some people who have SUV like me and are on Courier and are on freight or dispatch or both. And in their markets, freight or dispatch is actually doing better for them in an SUV. So again, I love Courier. Courier's been great to me, but it depends on the market. Um, the one last thing I want to say before I bring my guest on, who also lives in an amazing Courier market, is that Courier. So those of you on the waiting list is long. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It's long. If you haven't signed up, sign up with the link that is in any Courier video I do. It should be in this one. If it's not, I'll put it in after. But it's in any Courier video I do. It's in most of the videos I do. It's not. There's nothing. There's not even a market in this country where affiliate links with Courier give me for signing you up anything. Nothing, and it doesn't give you the driver anything at all. So they're not paying you $900 to do 100 trips, or none of this trickery where you come on, you do it, and then you just quit the app. Because in fact, the big bonus to Courier is that once you get onboarded, you don't need that because you're going to make better money. So that's the trade-off. And I'd rather just have a straight shooting game of, pay me more. So, and pay me accordingly to the work I do. So, but what I want to mention is now, after saying that long waiting list, use my link, and that is a tracking link at least, so I can kind of help maybe direct things, or find out where you are, find out where things are going. But Curry announced a national partnership, and they got another one coming too. Actually, it might even be done. I'm just not allowed to mention it. But the one I'm allowed to mention today, I already mentioned it very briefly because Alice told me last week I could. It was on a different show, but I'm going to mention it here because Curry, I have the total green light. Curry nationwide has teamed up with Blue On. And if you guys don't know what Blue On is a HVAC uh, app for last minute needs and all hotshot stuff. Like, this is what I need to the location where I'm working right now. And they use they affiliate with different partnerships and bring in, basically hotshot running for HVAC, like I do for plumbing or Sherman-Williams paint. But this is off an app, and the app's been blowing up. So they have picked up all of the Blue On app business, and Courier is the exclusive carrier of Blue On. So that's all HVAC, something that I've done electrical. US Electric is a nationwide account. Ferguson Plumbing is a nationwide account. And Sherman-Williams is a nationwide account, but there hasn't been an HVAC. And now it's an app that is getting a lot of success through contractors and stuff that are HVAC people that need things on the fly. They're missing a part or whatever. And again, being through the Courier app, I'm sure it will pay well. So let me just quickly say hi to whoever's here in the chat. Neela, Kevin T, Josh B, Marissa, Bud Soda, and Rick. What's going on, you guys? I do have a guest here with me today, and he maybe hasn't been doing a lot of deliveries lately due to surgery, but he lives in a great Curry market, Pittsburgh, and we're gonna talk a little bit about his market. And I'm gonna put up some of his screenshots on earnings because they're pretty comparable to the Denver ones. So I get some markets that kind of say, well, I don't see those. And then I get other people like Josh in Philly and other people, in different markets saying, oh, well, I see these, or I've seen even better than my market in some. But I'm going to bring Brian on here. He's in Pittsburgh, and he actually sees pretty good offers. And he posts enough into the Discord group that I know he's seeing a lot. Clearly he's getting ones that go out of his area into another city or another state even stuff. But let's bring Brian on and talk to him.
Hey everybody. Hey Steve. Thanks for having me on.
Of course, man. How you doing in your recovery?
I'm doing very well. Tomorrow I go see the doctor, get the stitches out, and I should be green lighted to go back to no boot and be able to go back out on Monday.
But I mean, how are you feeling? Do you feel like you're ready for no boot and to get out?
Oh yeah. I've been itching to get out of this boot since the day it went on.
Sure. So one thing I love about Brian's offers are this goes to prove something, guys. Like all these apps that don't have any right even knowing our vehicles. Let's be honest. I mean, what was it that I onboarded to recently that didn't even care? I know Roadie doesn't care. Roadie asks for your license, but they don't care what vehicle you're in.
Nope.
And in fact, I shouldn't use that example because often Roadie puts things in your vehicle that won't fit. So maybe that's part of the problem.
A lot of their problem is they dispatch loads and they don't know the exact thing that you're going to pick up, because sometimes they have to put in random SKUs like for a screw, but it's a 10-foot piece of wood.
Yeah. But I guess my point is here's Courier, one of the highest paying gig apps. I mean, I say the highest in my market, but we have to talk market to market. But so for my vehicle, my market's the highest. But here's Courier, and you have listed a 1995 vehicle. I don't even think other apps would take that vehicle.
There's quite a few that won't, like Freight won't take you. You have to be, I think it was 2010 or newer, I believe. It might be even stricter than that, maybe 2014. But I mean, it's a 95 and I got onboarded.
But that's my point. Like, if you guys have an old, I've said before, if you have a pickup truck, but you listed your compact Prius, yes, Priuses get onboarded, not as often as they used to, but if you have a pickup with like a pipe rack or something, then you're like, oh dude, but it's 1999. It's all beat to crap. Put that down. At least, and here's my point, at least to get onboarded, but I would even say put it down and leave it on. If the thing runs, do your Couriers in those, because look, it's not a maybe. We're not trying to dissect an algorithm. The bigger the vehicle, the bigger the pay.
Yep.
Straight
absolutely.
Up. I mean, and like in Brian's market, he's going to still see, for big orders, he's still going to see enough orders. It depends on the market. Like I know people here in Denver who have cargo vans or box trucks, and I'm like, are you happy with that? And they're like, not on all the apps, but Curry, rage it. It's probably as busy as you are, they say to me. And I'm like, really? So it's interesting because I find it interesting and cool that Curry allows you to, not that they shouldn't, but you're an independent contractor. Courier shows everything up front with transparency. And they're like, hey, you drive a 95? Cool. We don't care. Does it run? Can you get the job done? Great.
Is it inspected? Is it
Yeah.
insured?
Yeah. But again, it also goes to the point that we know, we know, guys, like I've told people this, like, and I know Bud Soda's in here. So I know that like he does, and other people do this too. They're doing a lot of pharmacy runs. I've heard of some people doing a lot of alcohol runs. I know for a fact that these companies they have not applied for special permits or permissions in states to do these. I know from doing Paraworks, we have Jimmy in Hagerstown, Maryland right now, doing a pharmacy test for Paraworks to see if it'll work out of running or stuff from Baltimore to Hagerstown and then distributing it. And we're actually learning a lot of logistical challenges, part of which are, do all of your drivers know they're not covered? No. Which made me open my eyes to all these people working Shipped or Roadie or all these things that have you doing tons of scripts now. I mean, there's a lot of apps doing script. And to be honest,
Roadie big time, because they got up in my area, they got the Rite Aid prescription runs. And that's all you'll see at 1 o'clock. At like 1:20, that's when they drop, and you'll just see all the.
I was gonna say Roadie, same here. I was gonna say Roadie for me now, at least in this market, because I hadn't used it in a while. Now I'm back to using all these apps, or at least having them on and seeing them. And Roadie is like, I don't know, 80% pharmacy deliveries, maybe the offers I see, probably about 10% FTD floral, and then 10% miscellaneous. I don't know. But the pharmacy is really, that's their thing now. You know, or it seems like
is 5:30 in the morning is Home Depot's.
Right. But I'm talking about like, I can open my app right now and there's a lot of pharmacy offers like right now.
Oh yeah, right now. Yeah, because you're at what? It's 2 o'clock your area.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so 2 o'clock. That's when.
I mean, and not only that, when you touch one, you can slide them over, and there's like 10 offers in there.
Mm-hmm. And so if you can stack them, that's how you have to do the prescriptions. You got to grab 9 or 3 or 4 from this one, 3 or 4 from this one,
but
1 from this one.
Here's my issue, and I was trying to talk about this earlier today. Look, I've talked with enough insurance agents, and I've talked with legal rideshare and other people. Look, back in the day when I started in 2015, you were supposed to go get just blanket commercial insurance. None of us did. I didn't even know it until like 2017. Like, you were supposed to do that when you onboarded. Like, oh yeah, I didn't know. You know, like I figured, because the way it was all worded, you know, same.
Yeah.
Especially 2015, you're making so much money, but it just said, you know, Uber works with your insurance. So I was like, okay. So I mean, it just seemed seamless. Like, I guess, you know, everybody do your research. This is why. But they were telling, at the time, there was no gig worker insurance or levels of it, like where you could pay a little bit more because you do food delivery. It was like either pay $700 a month for blanket commercial insurance that like a truck would need, a box truck would need, or else just don't tell your insurance. And that's what it was for years.
Well, I had my one insurance broker I used to use when I had expedited routes with a cargo van. I had the commercial insurance, but it wasn't based on a box truck. They based it on the size of vehicle you were using for it.
Right. Well, but the other thing is too, if you roll back to 2015, all there was in Denver in 2015 is, I mean, unless you were running a private business like you're talking about, all there was Uber and Lyft.
Yeah.
And so now you're talking about transporting people, which put a whole different spin on it, because now there's like hybrid insurance with like, I can't say for sure with everybody, but I do know Allstate and State Farm, 2 A-rated places, and then Progressive and Geico. All 4 of those have different levels of gig worker insurance you can carry. So if you say I do shop, I only do, and they're familiar with it now too. I only do delivery apps. I do shopping apps. You know, I do rideshare. I do, you know, or like in the case like we're talking about, I do courier of services. But one thing that so you call your insurance agent, you're supposed to talk about those. And instead of it being 700, it now can be like $30 to $50 a month extra. And that's it. That's
Yeah.
it. Just something
Yeah.
real nominal.
Mine is 35 extra a month.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, I mean,
And
that's
that gives me the $1 million insurance coverage.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, and you are licensed correctly, but here's my challenge to everybody. And if you let's say you're with Allstate and you're like, there's no way I'm calling about this. We'll call State Farm then. And if you're with Progressive, call Geico. Call the other one of the four I just named and ask them. Say, yeah, I'm just kind of shopping around right now. I'm a gig worker. You don't have to give me your information. Just say, I know you can't give me an exact quote, but right now I do this, this, and this. What would that on average, what does that look like more in a premium for somebody my age with a good record or whatever? And they will tell you a range. But here's my challenge to all of you. Now ask that person what it would take for you to be able to deliver alcohol, as well as what would it take for you to be able to deliver pharmaceuticals. Because in the pharmaceutical space here in Colorado, it's a very gray area. And in fact, the last mile, like we got Kevin T in here who does this, the last mile medical, like he does, is actually fighting this very hard. Like, what are you doing? Why does a driver have a right to be taking drugs they should not have on them? Because the people who do last mile medical either are employees or went through some training or, I mean,
and they've also went through more than likely a drug screen as well.
Yeah. But my point is like, also, if you got caught, and I cannot think of a scenario. I mean, I can with the booze side of it. I worked in a bar long enough. I can think of 100 reasons I've never done one alcohol one. Couldn't even tempt me with the right number, because I know for a fact I could lose my license, my vehicle, my livelihood, my son, everything for screwing up. If you break alcohol law in any state, now again, each state's different, but if you break it in any state, you're going to have everything and then some thrown at you. So, and if anybody gets injured, even if like you're not drinking, but you're doing courier services for alcohol, which you didn't even clear with your insurance. I'm just saying there is a world of headaches. So before you guys are taking these pharmacy runs and thinking, I'm making $2 an hour more doing this, maybe just call and say, what do I need to make sure I'm covered? They might say, oh, you already upped your gig coverage. You're good. But make sure that you talk to an agent. Then, or then if you call the other place, call your agent and say, hey, I've now taken on doing this and this. Is that okay? Is that under my coverage? And very likely they might say no. It depends on the state. They might say absolutely not. And that leaves people in a weird position. Well, why are they allowing us to do it? They're not. It's the same as they want robots to replace us, but it's nowhere in the near future. But it's the same thing. We are guinea pigs, guys.
You're accepting all the risk.
Yeah, and they're not going out there and saying, "Hey, let's get all the permits and stuff," because here's why. In reality, they don't have to, because they're hiring independent contractors, and it's your job to know the rules, regulations, and laws in your state as to what you're carrying, how you're doing it. And it's a very like, everybody always talks about the gamification of the apps, like how, do 3 of these and you'll get a $10 bonus. I don't like that either, but I think this is one of the biggest points that people need to understand is they're not telling you some basic information that they just assume a traditional gig employee or traditional or whatever would know. Anybody in the gig space or freelance or self-employed, they assume this, when really, like, we've heard it said before, they can't tell you things like this in the app. Those days are gone. They absolutely can. They proved that when they started doing rain videos about sexual misconduct in the rideshare. So they can show you, hey, to do alcohol, you need to call they could do little animated videos like that before you can take one. So you say you've seen it, whatever, but they don't want to, because they know then nobody be delivering it. Like, wait a minute, why is this sketchy? And why do I have to call my insurance? All of a sudden, you're not going to opt in. And they want you just to opt in and go, well, you must know the rules because you're an IC, so you must know what you're doing.
You assume the risk and the liability because you agree to the terms and conditions.
Yeah. And I hate it. I mean, we all hate it. There's a checkbox and they time that check. I mean, like I can say, I think you can agree, Brian, that Curry doesn't do this kind of thing. In fact, Curry doesn't even force an update. I mean, you should update it, but like you would never log on and it's like, hey, and you've accepted like a great order. And it's like, hey, check this if you want to take that order. There isn't such a thing. Like you do an update, and if you have orders, you take them. And DoorDash is like notorious for like doing it at lunch because people are going to check it because they have to work.
Yep.
So it's not even like, oh, I'm dumb, I'm not going to read this. That's not even the case. They've even covered themselves to the degree of, well, for even the few who do read it, let's do it at 11:30 when they need to sign on to Dash on a Friday, because they're not reading it.
Yep.
Even the people who would say, I want to read this, like they're not going to read it. So I'm not a big fan of the checkbox, just as like I'm not a big fan. And here's two things in this world that bother me: the I agree checkbox, and then I also hate this when like I have the MLB package. I've had it for years. And just out because I'm Detroit Tigers, I live out here in Colorado. The only way I can get the games is to get the package. But they have an auto renewal that you can't deselect. So I get the
oh wow.
Yeah, I'll get the MLB and the NHL. Max and I get it to watch the Red Wings and the Tigers. And both of them do the same thing. You sign up and it says on this date it will be auto renewed. There's nowhere to do it, and you can't call them and say don't auto renew it. So do I get it every year? Yeah. Could I put it in my calendar like a week before it's going to be charged? Yep. But what do I do every year? Every year I call and cancel the account and tell them if they would just put in a box that allowed me to have my freedom to choose, I would choose no auto renew and I would still renew. And they're like, but you need to cancel it. I'm like, because of that, yes, I need to cancel, and I'll call back on the first day of next year and I'll resubscribe. And even they hear it and they're just like, this is so stupid. Why are you doing this? I'm like, because it's wrong of you guys to do that. It feels like the click box to me. It feels like the I agree box. But yeah, that's two things that really bother me a lot. Let's jump into a little bit of your market, since this show does run an hour, you guys. So I'm going to put up some of the ones that I saw you post recently, because they look a lot like mine. Only thing that differs is that you have a lot more cubic space in your vehicle. A lot more, because you're seeing some really, like, I even wonder what the heavy items are. I mean, there's some.
A lot of times if it's like 1,000 pounds and it says it's a pallet and it's from like Wexford, I know that's the tile shop. It's going to be tile. Mm-hmm. So if it's from Braddock, I know that's from the building supply company. If it says Pittsburgh, that could be anything, but it's normally the building supply company. Washington, building supply company. It's all the same building supply company. It's pretty much store to store transfers right now.
Yeah, and that's why people always are like, dude, sometimes you're not even taking Curry to a pre-build or somewhere. You're taking it to another Sherman-Williams. I'm like, dude, I don't understand their paint game either, man. But like,
a lot of times
when they need it somewhere, they need it, dude.
The contractor lives over in that area where that store is, and they're going to pick it up in the morning to go to the job site. They don't want to go to wherever it is.
Right. Or it's being couriered out and they need to put the order together at one of the facilities. So they take the facility that has the most, and then they're like, okay, we need to get this and this from these two.
Hey, you got the blue, you got the gray, you got the white.
Yeah.
We need them shipped over here to mix them up to make some purples.
It's funny, when I dropped off 484 pounds of paint today. And when I was putting it in the garage, that's when the stream cut. But there was a guy in there. There was a guy that came out of the house, and he's like, I'm like, this is cool, right? And he's like, yeah, is that the interior or the exterior paint? And I I didn't even look. I wasn't even paying attention. I know, but he made a good point, because normally I would have caught this too, but I wasn't even thinking. And I was like, I don't know. I'm like, I got the slip right here for you. And he's like, you didn't see the swatches on the side because they were all the same color, and it was all like dark brown. He goes, you think they're going to paint the inside of their house dark brown?
Like,
I'm like, I don't know.
they could. I don't know.
I mean, you could tell it was like all the other houses were brown and stuff. So I was like, God, I feel like an idiot right now. But yeah, anyway, so let's just roll down some of yours, because I know you've been laid up, but let's see what's in the past few weeks has come through. So I just pulled some. There are no kind of particular order here. So yeah, so as you guys can see, it's again 1995 GMC. A lot of apps, even the Courier apps that I don't believe should do this, like he was saying with freight, won't let it on. You know, they shouldn't do that, because if all couriers I know and have met since I've been doing a lot of this space, all have that gig geezer type attitude that I have too, like run your vehicle into the ground. Just run it into the ground, dude. It's never gonna produce any value to you outside of using it.
Yeah, if you
Like a
just sit
resale,
around,
anything, like you're just screwing around, you know. So, but $153 to go 72 miles. I can't really see the towns, but from what I could tell from a lot of yours, they're like you're going to different towns.
yeah, it's my area is pretty big that I normally work.
Well, I'm wondering too if part of it is because you're taking the bigger loads. Like if I could take some of these big loads, I'm wondering if they would have me going more out of town.
It's possible,
I
because
mean, just yeah.
I had to set the phone down so I can grab my water. But I have it marked for willing to travel over 150 miles overnight haul.
Oh yeah. Me too. I've got everything in there. I can lift up to 100 pounds. I can lift alone over 100.
Me
And
as
I
well.
can. I'm just like, you know, like please don't stick me with just that kind of stuff. But
like, I'd rather not, but I can if I have to. I'll nut up and do it. But
so I can't. Does it just say fits in your vehicle in the notes here, or does it say what it is?
I can't. Let me see. Can I? I don't want
Or
to lose
are you to a point with
anybody.
Curry where when you see this, you know, okay, I know what that location is. I know what it's going to be.
Yeah, I pretty much know ahead of time based on
Like what would this be?
where's it from? Is that Braddock?
Yeah, Braddock, Pennsylvania.
Yep, Braddock, Pennsylvania. That's Bradford Building Supplies.
Okay. So $40 for what, it's 8 miles maybe?
Yeah, 8 miles. That's a store transfer up to their West Mifflin location.
So how long is that location from you?
Oh, Braddock from me is about 45 miles.
Okay, so that's one you wouldn't take anyway. Unless you were up in
No.
Braddock, yeah.
If I had other stuff, like if I had pre-claimed catering deliveries for that day also up in that area, I'd take that because I have to be up in that area. So that would give me $40 to go up there. And then I have my other guaranteed money up there. Then I'd work other apps up there to try and make what I can that day.
So this one says fits in car or larger, and that I found interesting because that means that you do see the offers that I would see too. I always wondered about that. I wondered if, like, yeah, sometimes they might kick them down to you, but like more that you see the bigger ones.
Yeah,
But
I'll
that's
see
cool.
fits in car, fits in SUV or
Yeah.
larger. And I'm like, okay, I got a van. Okay, I'm larger than a car SUV, so I'll definitely fit that. You got anything else that I can fit with that?
Right. Like for me, I'm not even going to take this one in my SUV.
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't take that.
Yeah. I mean, and again, guys, like you will, like sometimes if you're trying to figure out how my math works, it is so dynamic because there could be reasons like going to this city, there's no traffic. I know I might get something come. I mean, there's all kinds of reasons that go into how I accept stuff. You're trying to figure out the actual math. It's not as easy as that. It's not like sitting in a 4 mile DoorDash area and going, okay, I know exactly what I want.
I base mine on the offers I accept. I base it on what area is it taking me to? What other apps can I work in that area it's leaving me in? Can I, in the current area I'm in, can I make more if I don't take that order?
Right. Yeah.
Am I going to lose money by taking that order because it's pulling me away from where I'm making better money?
For sure.
So sometimes I'll look at an offer and somebody else will be like, oh, that's a great offer. And for me, I'm like, not at this time, because I'm doing better with doing DoorDash or catering or any number of other things.
So if we go on though, because some of the ones were really good. Okay, so this is just a car one too. So that's like what I might see. It looked pretty average. Like this. These are I'm pointing these out because these are the kind of ones like on. You guys always see some of my bangers, but these are like the average things I see in a day. This is an average offer. Like that's
I missed that $1,000 screenshot. I should have taken that.
But yeah, I mean, this one even
like,
just,
hey babe, let's go. You want to go up to Pittsburgh and we'll take a drive out to Michigan real quick?
what was it, 1,000 pounds?
It was $1,000. It was 400 pounds.
Yeah. I still think you should have just got it and got Uber Connect. And then just tipped the guy really. Be like, dude, I got here. Let's get this engine in your trunk.
Just strap it to your roof. I got ratchet straps. Strap it down. I got bungees. Come on. It don't even got to fit.
Just to watch the Uber Connect drive. Fine, I'll use DoorDash. Just to watch their face too. But yeah, so then okay, this one I found interesting. So 1,200 pounds, 16 miles, $65. I don't think I'd do that because of the weight alone.
That's Cranberry Township. That's a tile shop.
Okay. That's a lot of weight though.
They'll load that on with a tow motor. You just got to unload it by hand. And for $65, I'm not unloading that by hand for that.
Never on the other side do you have what you need to unload it? The pallet as a whole?
Normally when you pick up from the tile shop, that's going to someone's house and you're going to put it in their garage or wherever they want it. So that is your humping however much that says, you're unloading that.
And by the way, guys, if you do, I don't have the privy of again, Brian wouldn't take this order, neither would I. But if I did have something big enough to where I could get that 1,200 pounds, like a van or something like that, for the right number, I'm obviously taking this. And one thing I would say for sure is, like, I go to a lot of pre-built whole areas, but I go to some places that are just upgrading a few things or whatever. Always look around, see if you see a Bobcat. Not that you can just jump on it and operate it or that kind of thing, but find the foreman and ask him, hey man, is there any way you can help me get this pallet down? That 5 minutes of just looking around might save you, like what Brian's talking about, of unloading this whole damn thing. Because they and again, like what customer wouldn't want it still palletized, wrapped nicely?
Well, what I do when I get to their place is I get I'll ask for, do you guys have like plastic drop cloths? So when I get to the customer's house, this is at the tile shop, I say, hey, give me some strips of plastic, because I'm not going to set it directly on their floor. At least give me something to protect the surface I'm going to be putting this on.
Yeah. Kevin says box truck with pallet jack. I mean, that's, in a perfect world, that's great, but only when I've done Courier route runner with a 26 foot truck have I had the ability to have a pallet jack on there with me. So.
And you had the lift gate too.
Those are always, yeah. Even for the little things, I was using the lift gate just because it was fun.
Elevator up, elevator down.
So, but yeah, where was I? Okay, here. So, okay. 110 for 42. I want to get down to some of these bigger ones. So, okay. So 230 for 53. So, okay. I'm obviously one item, 600 pounds. I'm obviously into that because I moved 1,000 pounds of paint today. So it's, again, I think people get a little thrown by weight. I don't know what this one item at 600 pounds would be. But then does it also, and it says loading, unloading. So I'm wondering, I mean, if it's one item at 600 pounds, I know for a fact you can't do that on your own. So what happens at this?
Yeah, that's why. Where was that from? I can't see.
Findlay.
Findlay. I have no idea what that is. I've never picked up from Findlay.
Okay, yeah, it's I can't read the description here. But it has dimensions though. It says
Probably says standard pallet, 48 by 40 by 40 or 40
six.
40.
Yeah, probably because it's 6.5 by 4 by 4.
Yeah, that's probably a pallet of something, a skid of.
I know. To me, what confused me about this one, I like the offer, but the loading, unloading, you can't do that.
Yeah, that's one of those. It might mean when they put in their loading, unloading, that might mean they'll load it and unload it for you.
No, when it says that, does it say by somebody? Loading, unloading by. Oh, it says unloading by something. Yeah, okay, maybe that's it. Because loading, unloading is usually what I see, and that means you are responsible for it now. But yeah, it says unloading by something. So maybe there's somebody at the other end too. And even maybe like at the load, you're going to get it. So maybe this is even easier than we're making it to be. Maybe you're not doing anything.
Yeah.
Other than the drive.
It could just be you're transporting like that big metal cylinder I transported up to almost Cleveland for $350.
Right. Well, I mean, this is 50 miles for 230. I mean, I'd do this all day. And I mean, that's a great deal. You know, this one item, 949 pounds, $130 for 20 miles. I would do that all day.
Yep.
I don't know what this item is. I'm so curious as to what these items are because there's things I see that are new in Denver here and there, like a new location. I'm like, ooh, I wonder what this place will be.
Does that say is that from Washington?
No, Greensburg, Pennsylvania.
Oh, Greensburg, that's Bradford Builders. That's building supplies.
Okay. 949 pounds. It's still a little low. I'm not saying I love this, but I guess it depends. Like if it's like you said, if it's the tile part, like if it's you having to unload tiles, that's going to jack my price up so much. I mean, again, personal value, guys.
When it says like 1,200 pounds, I'm trying for at least $1 a pound.
Yeah.
And that's before I factor in the mileage. That adds on too, but I'm at least looking for $1 a pound.
And see, this is where obviously Brian's seeing the offers I would get in my RAV4 too, because this would be a RAV4 offer to me. This is a Courier. I can clearly tell it's not even that big of a Courier, to be honest. It's, you know, I mean, actually not much at all in weight, and $73 for 17 miles. So this would be offered to me if I was in Brian's market, and I'm in a RAV4. So I mean, like I'm pointing out, and I would take this all day long. So on the car side, yeah. Obviously you got to be a little more picky. 55 for 23, you know, that's kind of, I'm just pointing out that's kind of some of what I see. One item, 400 pounds, 15 miles, $98. Seems like that's another good deal. I would do that. I mean, I'm super curious as to how much of gets loaded too, because I work at enough of these. We all go to the same facilities. So where Brian goes, I've been like in the Denver versions. I've been to most of these places. They have multiple bays at most of them. They have pallet jacks. They have loading things. They have everything you need where you can back up and they just push it in. I mean, these are as legit as like 18-wheeler Carrier bays.
Yeah, a lot of when I pick up from the building supply place is no touch.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I guess it depends on the item. See, with me, it's always like, even if it's even when it was supposed to be no touch, they were always like, "Do you got it?" I'm like, "Sure."
Oh, but I mean, most of mine is on a pallet, and they just
Yeah.
throw it in
Yeah.
on and
Yeah. 150 for 44, one item for 50 pounds. I mean, again, this is an order that would come through to me, I'm guessing too. But so, like these are ones like I would take, and they look very similar to mine. Sometimes when I have other
Mhm.
people on here, what I see from their market is not the same. These are kind of, I feel like I'm looking at offers in around my market, one item, 36 pounds, $100,
Yep.
doing that all day. Um, and then $60 for 9 miles. I mean, these, if you guys aren't picking up on it, these are like, most of these were like car ones, but some of the bigger ones obviously require the pallet loading, in which case, like, that takes a lot of the workout too. But I don't even mind doing the loading, unloading. Like last week I probably carried about 2 tons of paint.
Yeah, that's
Yeah. But a lot of gig workers don't want to do that.
that's why I got a dolly. I got a cart. I mean,
Right.
I got tools, but
But I
I,
guess that's my point. Like, look, if you are physically unable to do this, that's a different story. Okay. But
I'm
like if
I'm
you are
also
physically
six. I'm also 6'4", 250. So
and I'm
I'm a
not,
little
but dude,
different.
I'll move stuff all day long, man. I don't care. Like I worked in a bar. I threw kegs around. We had a 60 keg room. I'm used to throwing kegs around. This is nothing.
I delivered beer
So
back in the day, Steve.
yeah. So I mean, you get it. Like, I mean, like I just, and in the bar, there's no job that isn't your job. Everybody has to do every job. There's no such. I've said that to other people that they just don't get it. And I think it goes to show, I don't want to get too crazy here, but about the wokeness and some of what's going on in this country. Because like when they're like, what do you mean there's, in the bar, there's no job that isn't your job. I'm like, I've owned, I've managed, I've been in the bar industry for almost 30 years, very heavily too. And to be honest, if you ever said that's not my job, it was all I could do to not fire you. Usually I would send you home if you were really being an ass, and I'd say come back in 24 hours because I had a 24-hour rule about cooling off because there was always too many things going on at the bar.
Mm-hmm.
You never want to deal with it when you're hot. And I'd give them that chance. I'd say it's 4 o'clock, be back at 4 o'clock tomorrow. Even if I wasn't working, I would show back up at 4 o'clock that day. The next day I'd come in and I'd give them 5 minutes. They didn't show up by 4:05, they were fired.
Yeah,
They should, if they showed up and they had a better attitude and understood, and we could have a conversation about, do you understand that we are a team, and that just because you were hired as a server, if I ask you to take that back to the kitchen, you need to do it. Or if a bartender does, you need to do it. That we don't have,
we're
we're not running on 3 times the staffing. We're actually running at just perfect staffing, but everybody has to do their part.
yeah, we're a team. We all do everything. That's
Yeah. But I mean, a lot of people have challenged me on that one. Like, well, that's just dumb. And I know that those people have not worked in the service industry. The service industry is, look,
that's a
guys, if you,
different animal.
I know, but I honestly, like, I even told my son, I'm glad he's got his job as a lifeguard. He got that on his own. He's done really great with it. He's upped his game even. He does well in school. But I even told him, I honestly believe everybody needs to do a semester of even if it's one day a week, some service industry job. And
Even if it's just working in the dish room washing dishes.
even if it's McDonald's or the dish tank, I don't care. You need to, I don't care if you are the most pampered, like if your parents bought you a car 3 times the value of mine on your 16th birthday. I don't care who you are. I feel like everybody needs to do that. You need to humble yourself and realize this is what work is.
Yeah. Also remember, if your parents bought you that, you didn't buy that. You ain't shit.
Yeah. But it's like my son has a good attitude, luckily, because a lot of his friends, I mean, not his closest friends that I've known for a long time, but have these cars where I'm like, you should not have that car. I mean, my first vehicle was a used 1984 Chevette that had 4 speeds, and it had about 80,000 miles on it. Ended up getting about 200,000 on it. Just drove it into the ground. Actually, that thing ran pretty damn good. It just wasn't fast. You couldn't, with 4 gears, you can't get up on the highway fast. You can't do it.
Yeah, I had what was it, an 84 pickup truck that the bed was made out of recycled pop cans. And it was a hand-me-down from my uncle, and I gave him $100 for it. That was my first vehicle, was a pickup truck.
But see, that's kind of my point, though. I don't care if it's a pickup or a Chevette or what it is. The bottom line is, dude, these kids do not need to be rolling off of a car dealership lot with a brand new anything.
But why I got a pickup truck was because I could put my lawnmower and weed whacker in the back of that thing and go out and make money in it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, for me, it was, just, hey, that's the car I can afford.
Yeah, I was looking at, I can afford this, but I need something that can make me money, not just cost me money.
Yeah, I to be honest, I've been trying to up my game. I think you even saw me stop today and look at that Sprinter van. Marissa was in the chat, and she texted the lady. So by the time I got home, I already had her text from me, so I had all the information. So the thing had, I don't have my phone here, but the thing had 3,500 miles. Nothing. Like the worst time to sell a car, dude. Don't buy something and put 3,500 on and go, I'm done with it. I mean, that's like driving it off the lot and going, nah.
What year was that?
2022 or 2021.
Wow.
But she wanted 65 grand. Somebody in the chat had said, it might have even been you, had said, hey, if you have to ask how much it is, you can't afford it. That's right. I can't afford it.
Yeah, I said that. If you have to ask, you can't afford it. My dad always told me that if you have to ask how much something is, that means you can't afford it. If they wanted you to know how much it was, they put a price on it.
Yeah, I mean, because honestly, like, I'm looking to spend an eighth to a tenth of that amount.
Yeah,
but I understand I'll be getting a vehicle with 150,000 miles. I understand that I will then be running it into the ground and taking as good a care of it as I can. I understand what I'm getting into. I just don't want to go buy a $70,000 Sprinter van.
My van I have that I'm using cost me $2,500
to buy.
Yeah, to buy it. It was $2,500. I've done a lot of work to it. She needed a lot of work done to her, but it was $2,500, and that was mine.
But how much? Okay, how much did, in all honesty, how much?
I've put just back a guess.
Did you have to spend to make it workable
in repairs?
On these jobs?
Well, my cousin, he's a very good backyard mechanic, so he works pretty cheap. But in parts, I've probably put about $1,200 in parts. That's so about not including $5 grand. That's not including routine tires and all that.
No. I'm just talking about what it took you from buying it to getting it to it's road ready to. So $5 grand. And how long have you had it?
I've had it for 4 years now.
Okay, so I mean, I'm not sure what your mileage is, but I'm not even sure that matters, because how long do you expect to get out of it?
Oh, I'm gonna run her until I can't run her no more.
Right, but I mean, is it running good, and you've kept it so well you're not really seeing its death coming anytime soon?
The only things I would have to do on her now is a radiator, an engine, or a tranny.
Okay.
Those are the only 3, and the tranny's strong, the engine's strong, and the radiator will need replaced very shortly here.
Yeah, but I mean, nonetheless, I mean,
But
it's a vehicle that's going to last you for many more years. You got a deal on it, yeah. You fixed it up.
oh yeah.
So I guess my point is there, to the people going, I don't want to go get one, have to figure out if I have a cousin who can fix things for cheap. And then, to those people, I would say, well, then go spend an extra 1,000 or 1,500 on what he total spent, 5,000. Go finance 6,500 and just get one that's good out of the gate.
Mm-hmm.
But like I was saying when I was talking about that van, to me, I need hail damage. I need damage to the inside that to me is nothing more than aesthetic. Um, because that's the kind of thing where I can go, oh no, I'm not paying that.
Yeah, that knocked a couple hundred off.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta that's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking to go get, oh my gosh, look at this brand new Sprinter van. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna clean up. Like I wouldn't want that over my head. I want to get something used, get the best deal I can, gut it, make it for how I need it, and then just run it into the ground.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing with mine. I'm slowly customizing it. I want to get 1-ton shocks on her so I can haul more weight, obviously, safer. I want to do a new roof rack. I'd love to get swivel seats in there because those are fucking awesome, and I'd be like in
Like
a
the captain's
spaceship.
chairs.
I have captain's chairs. I just want them on a swivel where I can like turn sideways, kick my feet up in there, and I could actually go overnight and sleep in my van with 2 or 3 pallets on there, and
Yeah. You
not
could
have to
find you could
convert.
somehow make a 4 pillars and a mattress that slides over it and that somehow comes down to the pallet size or something so you can sleep just above it.
Well, they have those. If you watch, there's guys on YouTube that have shown their Sprinter vans that they
Oh
have
yeah.
to customize the built beds and all that. And I'm like, well, in mine, if I did that, I'm losing space. But if I got swivel captain's chairs, I swivel it, swivel the other one, kick my feet up, boom, I'm cool.
Yeah, I watch some of those van lives, and I'm amazed at what they do to them. And I've brought it up to Hannibal a few times, and he's always like, oh, for some reason, it's like one of his ticks. He's like, I hate van life. I'm like, I love knowing when somebody hates something. It's like it's just a good feeling to know that I can always bring that up.
Then I'm gonna look for even more. Check this one out.
But I was like, why do you hate it? And he's like, I just wouldn't do it. I'm like, but why do you hate it? Why do you care if they do it? I don't know. I'm probably not into it either. I'm looking for a van for work purposes. I want a workhorse. And I honestly think that the pay amounts, I've seen other ones you've posted too, but I think the pay amounts that I've seen across the nation are a lot better when you step up to either a cargo, Sprinter, even some big bed trucks. And if you have a pipe rack, you can do really good. That pipe rack seems to, those actual frame pipe racks, not like just one that's sitting on a side or something, but the actual full frame one on a pickup can really add to what you're going to get on these Courier apps. Because I see pipe rack needed a lot.
That's what I'm getting put on top of my van is going to be a pipe rack.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, because I see it all the time. Without a pipe rack, even if your truck can do it or whatever, there are places that actually put, we need a pipe rack delivery person because they just don't want them beat around like that. So, I mean, I don't know. There's so many different ways to go about this. And like I was saying earlier, if you have a pickup truck or you have a van or something and you're on the waiting list, I shouldn't have to say this, but let me stare into the camera. Put that vehicle to get signed up. And then, even if it's not running good, then switch it to the vehicle you do have.
I don't know if you've ever talked about this company before, Steve, but I'm pretty sure they're nationwide. They're called American Expediting. They do all kinds of courier pickups, like they do payroll, like Flex does. They do specimen pickups. They do
so a lot of
airports.
medical stuff.
They do all kinds of different last mile services, and they are, I believe, nationwide. It's called American Expediting.
Yeah. There's a lot of good ones, you guys. Like, I don't know if you guys watch. I'm gonna be having him on a podcast here shortly, but I don't know if you guys watch Boss Up with Kay, or if you've seen him. Like, there's a handful. What is it? Cars and Cribs. He's great. Sean in Town. He's great. But I did a piece on Hannibal's channel with Kay. His name is Kevin. And then I did another piece with him, and I've watched a couple of his lives, but we're about to do a piece too because he has a totally different way of operating these apps, and he is running tons of website boards. So when he picks up anything in his Sprinter van, he's immediately he's in Atlanta, but he's at like wherever he's going, he's immediately on that city or the city's coming back towards Atlanta on their board, seeing what's available for pickup. And he's got like an arsenal. These aren't apps. I'm talking about like 15 different websites where he just gets on them and what's up. And he's just grabbing anything he can to come back. I want that ability too, because too often there's some long haul stuff I don't take where I've looked on those same boards. And if I had a van or whatever, there's stuff coming back from Colorado Springs. If I go to Colorado Springs in my RAV4, I'm not getting anything coming back. I shouldn't be that negative, but really I've done it a few times. I've never seen anything nor anything the whole way coming back. So I want the ability to get on some of those boards. I think that's another way under optimized tool. So when he comes on to here and we do, and I have him on, we're going to talk about those boards specifically and offsetting your Bungee, your Freight, your Dispatch, your Drop Off, your Courier, and even looking in your own city. He just said that often those boards, and I know this from doing TNC radio every Friday. I've been doing the trucker radio show for 1.5 years now with Tom. And I've gotten very into truckers and their fight and everything that's going on. And one thing that we've learned is that even though there was a national shortage of drivers, the trucking industry is getting pummeled right now. And that's opened up a lot more last mile opportunities for people like us or for Brian or all of us wanting to do this stuff. But the truckers, the independent owner truckers in this country are just getting the shaft because there are lowest ball offers on these boards and people are taking them in their own cities. And what Kay had pointed out was like, if I just sat in Atlanta and got on these 15 websites, I would make crap. I need these apps to get me out of town. But then I can take something that I normally wouldn't take because I'm there, and it's better than getting nothing. But it's in no way is it great. But when I take the total round trip hours, miles, everything, it adds to it to make it even better than my original thought. So I get that. And I think that's where they come in handy. But I feel like in this age of technology, that's being abused against these people too. Because like if you are local and you're like, I can't find anything on the boards anymore.
That's how I use Roadie and Delivered, Curry, all the apps I use. That's how I use them. It's not that I'm getting the greatest offers, but it gets me up to the areas to get the better offers to then bring me back home.
Yeah, he's talked about like USell. If you guys aren't familiar, usell.com is a good one. I wanted to see if I could just remember the other. Yeah, he was talking about a couple that I wanted to. Here we go. Okay, so if you guys haven't heard of Citizen Shipper, have you ever heard of that one?
Never heard of that one.
Citizen Shipper does it so like all of these seem to be following a pattern of like Curry's primarily Sherman-Williams paint, but then we get some other stuff. Roadie's now pharmacy. And so Citizen Shipper is like 80% pets. You're moving pets across the country.
There's
dogs, cats. Yeah. And so their biggest is pets, about 70, 80%. And then about 20% of their workload is motorcycles.
What's
like
funny
people who detail the motorcycles put a lot of money into them and really want them taken in a very nice way. you know,
And
so
once I get the D-rings installed in my van and everything, I'd be able to haul a motorcycle like that inside the van, strapped down.
yeah. Tony, the driven dad, he says, is that a border shipping company? Citizen shipper. Sorry. But yeah, you ship, just you ship, the letter U, ship.com. That's a good one, you guys. That's a posting board one that also does vehicles too. Shipley, I know you guys probably heard of it, but if you've never looked, Shipley's website has some. And then, like I was telling you about too, Axle Hire. And I tell you about these things because I learn about them when they're hot and not, and like Axle Hire is not saturated. Most likely, if it's in your area, you're going to get onboarded tomorrow. Will you get offers and stuff? I don't know. You got to let it grow like Curry did with me. And because from day one with Curry, I was fighting for orders. There were barely any 2 years ago. You know, so I mean, like I've spent a lot of time blossoming that and watching it grow. But that's why I say get on all these. But like right now, Axle Hire is a big one that's kind of got a lot of money behind it. They're hiring, if you go to their website, axlehire.com, they're hiring all positions. They're hiring programmers. They're hiring driver support. I mean, so that is another metric to me that this company is doing very well. And they're going to be around. So I always say, you know, you want to get in when you can before there's a waiting list and before any kind of price changes happen. So I'm giving you guys a little hint about Axle Hire. Maybe jump on there before they're saturated. This is what I told you almost 2 years ago about Curry, and only a handful of people listened. And now we've got waiting lists that no other app has waiting lists this long.
Oh, sorry for that.
No, it's all good. So let's as we wrap this up, how much long? So you're hoping on the doctor call today, get that thing ripped off your.
Tomorrow I go get the stitches out. I'll give the weekend for it to them to heal up, and Monday I'm gonna go out for a little bit, you know, just test it out, see how the foot feels, and
Yeah.
but I figure not next week, but the following week I'll be 100%.
Yeah. You just had me thinking about, like, I don't know why I was just thinking this, watching you sit there, like during this time you could have been taking the highest paying Courier orders. And yeah, the Uber Connect thing's a joke, but you could have been reposting it on Freight at half price. Like, go take this to Michigan for me.
That might lead to deactivation from the Curry platform, Steve.
Again, I wasn't condoning it. I just came to my head. I was like, man, you know, this is all these shippers do, is just kind of ship from place to place till it gets where it needs to go.
I mean, I am an independent contractor. I mean, I'm hiring another independent contractor. I mean, what's the problem there?
Yeah, that's not the call they want, though. They'd be like, really?
No.
Yeah. No. See, the team at Curry speaks English. They don't have goats running around, and they're not in other countries. Like I've said before, I learned how bad Instacart was when she didn't know that Colorado was a state. I said, I live in Colorado. And she goes, I don't know where that is. And I was like, it's like in the middle of the country. She's like, but what country? I was like, oh.
America? USA?
Iraq. I live in Colorado, Iraq. We don't have Instacart in Iraq. Really, oh, man, that's Iraq. Probably why I'm not making any money then.
They got the wrong Colorado, damn it. Who knew? Colorado, Iraq.
But so, yeah, so you'll be back up and running. I'm excited to see how you do. And this is kind of something I want to do, is check in with other markets. So, you know, I did it with Josh. Now I've done it with you, because people question how the other markets do. And we just showed you a bunch of car offers.
I post every offer I see in my market. I screenshot it and I post it to Steve's Discord.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's another thing. Jump on that Discord if you guys do that. I'm trying to get down with it a little more, but yeah, I'm glad that you're finally getting back to it, because it seems like you've been down and out for a bit.
3 weeks.
Yeah. Oh man, that kind of stuff drives me nuts.
Uh,
Just
I
nuts, man.
I just want to get in my van and take a drive, but after I take a shower.
Yeah.
Because this bird bath shit is nah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get that.
Nah, plastic bag on a boot and nah. No, I'm trying to go back to work, not to the hospital. I'm good on that.
Right. But yeah, that'll be good to see you back at work. And I want to thank you for joining me today too.
Huh.
You know, and guys, like if you work in other markets and you're liking this, or even if you want to come on here and say, I want to work these, but I can't get on Courier, maybe we can talk about the other apps and how you can get onto those. Like I said, I'm onboarding one a week.
I know American Expediting is a lot of office to office deliveries where you're picking up maybe an envelope from a lawyer's office, running it across the street. And
I mean, it makes sense from their names, or from
like
the
I
name.
said, that's nationwide, and they do specimen pickups. They do all kinds of different things, and
Yeah.
it might be something to look into. Even if you're in a car and you maybe want to make a move to a van, get one of these runs. They also have dedicated runs where you can get loaded with runs where you're doing 20, 30 stops.
Yeah. I like, and that is a feature that we've talked about on here too, that I will leave as a cliffhanger. We'll get back to it again, but the route runner with Curry is amazing because that's not your vehicle. It's loaded when you get there. You got a lift gate. You got everything you need. You got two wheelers. You got pallet jacks. You got tie downs. I mean,
those are cake runs.
Yeah, but the pay is great. You're usually you're usually done by noon, and you didn't use your vehicle, and now you still got the whole damn day.
Yep, and now you could run other apps if you wanted after that.
Yeah,
Or
that's
you
my
could
point.
say,
Yeah,
I'm good and go home and put your feet up.
yeah, because you get paid for the 8 hours anyway. So I mean, usually you're gonna get $260 paid to you that day from Curry, whether you work 4 or 5 or 6. I never worked even 6. I think the most I did when I was doing route runner was like 5 hours and 45 minutes. And every time, I mean, once we were 3.5 hours paid for 8 hours.
Yep.
So
yeah, they pay you for the day, and however fast you can bang it out is how much you make for the whole day.
Yep. So that said, you guys, want to thank Brian, and also make sure to check out Money Hungry. Is that the show? Yeah. Kim and Zach do Money Hungry on Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, and I'm on there tonight. I'm not even sure what we're doing, but we'll see. I know that I'm proud of both of them because that's a Rideshare Guy channel show, and I've known Harry for a long time, but I'm the first guest. I'm not sure what we're tackling, but we'll see. I have a feeling it's going to be political, so I'm getting my notes ready. And other than that, you guys have a great week, and make sure to catch us on the roundtable tomorrow night too, because we have a first time ever to the roundtable guest, which is really rare these days. We do so well as a team, and then it's rare that we even bring on a guest. But if we do, they've usually been on. But we have Gig Life on, who I've always kind of been interested in, wanted to have on. And I've seen him kind of tearing up some videos about like ripping into Instacart lately. So I figured this is the time. I needed to get him on here. But the Gig Life, if you guys are familiar with him, he's been around for a long time. He's got a lot of good stuff out there. He puts a lot of good content out. And so he'll be joining us. But other than that, have a great day, you guys, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yep. Bye, everybody.